headline in the news this week was that the planned air train that was supposed to be built for LaGuardia Airport was canceled. So what does that mean? That is what we are going to talk about in this video. Welcome to Urban Caffeine. My name is Thea and you're watching a channel that loves to talk about public transportation. And if you're an advocate of public transit, let the world know by hitting that like button. For a little bit of background, New York's nearby airports are LaGuardia Airport, JFK, and Newark Airport in New Jersey. As airports tend to be, these are nowhere near the city center, which is downtown and midtown Manhattan. While you have the option to take a taxi or for hire vehicles like Uber or Lyft, there's no lack of options for public transportation, which I've covered extensively in separate videos. Links are in the description. What I personally like about JFK and Newark is their direct access to trains. JFK has an air train that connects you to the New York City subway. Newark also has an air train that connects you to the NJ Transit that connects you to the New York City subway. Ironically, the closest airport to Manhattan, we're talking roughly 10 miles away, does not have direct rail access to the New York City subway. The closest subway stations are 2 and 3 miles away. Without direct rail access like an air train, it's so close yet so far. To get to the New York subway, you would have to take a shuttle or a bus. Currently, there's a shuttle that runs in a loop from LaGuardia to 2 New York City subway stations. From here, a traveler can catch the subway or LIRR. There's also a regular bus that a person can ride to get to the N and W subway station. Or they can stay on the bus and ride it all the way to Manhattan. The shuttle is free and the regular bus takes the regular fare, which is $2.75. But this doesn't really matter anyways because the subway is a free transfer here with a paid bus ticket. And here you would have to pay $2.75 for the subway. But the free ride is nice, so a traveler doesn't have to figure out ticketing until they get to the subway station. There was a plan to create an air train to connect LaGuardia to the New York City subway, but as of March this year, this plan was canned. To better understand what's going on, let's go back a few years. LaGuardia had gone through some major renovations these last few years. Talk to some travelers 15 years ago and they will tell you that LaGuardia Airport was literally hell on earth. This was mainly due to capacity. It was built in 1939 and the way people traveled in the 50s and 60s is way different than how people travel today. There are more travelers, so therefore there are more people coming in and out of airports. And therefore there are more connections. And any facility, if you're constantly using it, it will wear down over time. And so this airport had long outlived its capacity. But today, the LaGuardia Airport is beautiful with ample space and is actually my preferred airport to travel in and out of. I'm actually sad if I have to fly through JFK. I much prefer LaGuardia Airport. I've shared this before on Patreon, so if you're a patron member, you probably already know this. If I'm flying out of LaGuardia, I purposely get a flight in the early afternoon so I could get there early, get some Dos Toros, and watch airplanes from the bridge. What would have really tied the renovation together was the addition of an air train to directly connect people to the New York subway because air train travel is so convenient. Air trains are meant for people with luggage. You just wheel your luggage onto the train and off you go. Versus a bus where it's a bit of an effort to lift your luggage, and if there's no luggage compartment, then you kind of have to retrofit yourself and your luggage onto the bus. I was super excited for this air train to be added on, but as mentioned in the beginning of this video, the planned air train was shot down, mainly because the price tag on this thing was way too expensive. The original proposal was $450 million. As the years went by, the estimated budget on this ballooned to a whopping $2.4 billion. That's 5 times more. Do you know what $2.4 billion can do? You can fund something like Impossible Foods. Their current funding isn't even at $2 billion yet. Another suggestion was to extend the New York subway itself to the airport, but engineers who looked at this said it wasn't feasible. And even if they could extend the subway, the price tag on that would not be $2.4 billion, but a ginormous $7 billion. Okay, to give you an idea of just how ridiculous these numbers are, the renovation budget for the entire airport project was $8 billion. And just to extend the subway would cost almost just as much as the airport renovation. And on top of that, there was a lawsuit in 2021 because the proposed plan of the AirTrain would have taken away land from historically black neighborhoods, meaning there would have been some people displaced over this. So instead of building an AirTrain for $2.4 billion or finding a way to extend the New York subway for $7 billion, it was decided to take the relatively modest amount of $500 million and improve the current shuttle system that we have. Some of you are probably thinking, yuck, the bus. But you know what? I kind of agree with this decision. The current system that we have right now is not bad. I've ridden it many times. And with some enhancements, this can be an efficient way to transfer people to and from the airport. Hear me out. First of all, if they were to build an AirTrain, it was planned to connect to the 7 train at Met Willis Point, while the current shuttle connects to 2 stations further down on Roosevelt Avenue. Not to mention an existing bus line that connects to another station in Astoria, which they are talking about turning into a shuttle as well. If the AirTrain were to travel to Met's Willis Point, that meant a longer ride on the 7 if you were going to Manhattan. Someone could take the LIRR from here, but that's more expensive than taking the subway. But if they continue on with the current shuttle bus system and turn this bus into another shuttle service, it will shorten the travel distance for passengers. So what can be done to make the current system better? What makes this current shuttle system work well is that it has dedicated bus lanes on busy portions of its route. It's free, so the complication of buying a ticket is no longer an issue. And since it's free, there's no need to check tickets and therefore boarding is faster. And in addition to all this, the Q70 is easily recognizable. So the question is, what can be done to make this current shuttle system more efficient? I have 5 ideas, and if you have more after this, comment down below. First thing that comes to mind, I think the addition of more buses to the current fleet will make more frequent trips and will make life easier. Right now, AirTrains come at around 3 to 5 minutes, but a bus coming by every 5 or less minutes during peak travel times, it's where it's at. And during graveyard hours, probably a bus coming by every 15 to 20 minutes. Secondly, last I checked, the fleet was not fully electric. I'm not sure if it's fully electric today. If you know, comment down below. By making the entire shuttle system fully electric would be a great upgrade. Zero emission for the win. Third, I don't know how many people need the NW line in Astoria, but if there's demand, a looping shuttle would be nice to have instead of a regular bus. From a user experience standpoint, looping shuttles are easy to understand and you're not in fear of getting lost. The worst that could happen is you miss your stop and you end up going back to the airport and have to repeat the loop. Next, a lot of people on this channel have been asking me how they can transfer from LaGuardia Airport to JFK Airport or vice versa. Right now, there's really no good public transportation option. The public transit option that you have is you take a bus from the airport to the subway and then to the AirTrain at JFK, and there you go. It's 2 transfers and 3 different vehicles. There are also airport shuttles, but this can be very expensive if there's only 1 or 2 people traveling. It's more cost effective for large groups. So most people tend to use a taxi or Uber and Lyft to get to and from these 2 airports. I'm not too sure how many people need this transfer every single day, but it would be nice to have a shuttle service that transfers people to and from LaGuardia and JFK. Even if it was every half hour, or even if they just extend an existing bus route. And lastly, my biggest complaint with all of this is the actual bus itself. The current buses that we're using are meant for everyday city commuting and not for people with luggages or strollers or just have a lot of stuff with them. Unlike the shuttle bus in Istanbul, plenty of room for people and luggage and strollers. If they were able to retrofit our New York buses to make the trip more comfortable and less intimidating, then it would really elevate the experience and make it feel almost like an AirTrain. But then once you get to the subway, you have to deal with subway on the luggage. And if you need guidance on this, I have a video on this topic of lugging your suitcase around on the New York City subway. Link is in the description. Make sure you check out that video. The thing is, transportation on rails is perceived to be faster, and in many cases it is. There's just something about trains that make the brain think, I'm the faster mode. perhaps because a train is constantly moving and it doesn't suffer from stop-and-go traffic. The idea of having an air train at LaGuardia or having the New York City subway directly connect to the airport were good ideas. But ideas are a dime a dozen. Ideas that are truly great are the ones that are feasible. And right now, the current shuttle system that we have works. And if enhanced, it can work just as well as an air train. And besides, it's cheaper for riders. Right now, the JFK AirTrain costs $8.25. And this is on top of what you have to pay for the subway. I remember when the AirTrain at JFK used to be $5, and even then, I thought that was expensive. There are ways to avoid the $8.25 fare at JFK, and I made a video on this. Check that out in the link below. But regarding LaGuardia, while the current shuttle system works, it's good, and enhancing it can improve all our lives, what I'm more worried about is the budget. The LaGuardia AirTrain started out with a $450 million estimate that ballooned to $2.4 billion. Now, the shuttle service enhancement is estimated at $500 million, roughly the same as the AirTrain. We're in a wait-and-see situation to see if this is going to balloon as well, and if so, by how much. But you know what? One thing that doesn't balloon in price is the membership price for Urban Caffeine's Patreon community. For the price of roughly one subway swipe, you can support this channel so we can keep making videos just like this one. Members gain access to exclusive videos and extra content no matter the tier. Who doesn't like extra content? Check out patreon.com/urbancaffeine. With that, thank you all so much for watching, and until the next video, happy New Yorking!